right, guys, welcome to the TRC podcast main show, and this would be number 3. So, guys, how's it going today? I got Levi, and I got Anthony.
Hey, so it is a weird day today for us.
A little bit.
We had the eclipse, so we all took, I think we closed down from 10:30 to 12:30 basically.
Yeah, basically just kind of stopped shop for a minute.
Yeah, and gave all our employees the time to go grab lunch or go see the eclipse or do whatever they wanted. My family had a little party at my sister-in-law's that my mother-in-law had done with hot dogs and potato salad and
nice.
all that and some fruit. So we just hung out, watched the eclipse, and barbecued some hot dogs and had some fun.
Sounds
and then
like a good time.
left. And then you guys went over to your parents' house.
Right, yeah, we went down on their dock on the lake and got a good view because, it's kind of unobstructed with all the water around. You got a big open area to look up, so we got a real good chance to see. This was probably the cool part about the eclipse, was looking around and seeing that 360-degree sunset.
Yeah.
So you're in the dark, but you're looking around and everywhere is the sunset.
Yeah.
So that's
was
pretty cool.
It was definitely one of those things that I kind of thought
I was cynical
you before.
I was like,
I was like, well, because I was kind of cynical, and I was like, come on, why are people traveling halfway across the world for this event, type of thing. And so initially, right when it started happening, we all had our glasses, we had our little eclipse glasses, and so you could tell while we were still here at the building before we actually left to go down to the little lake area that you could see that the world almost looked like it had like an Instagram filter on it. It didn't really look real.
It was bizarre and unsettling because you're like, these are my eyes, but I don't feel like I'm looking through my eyes right now.
It looks, the best comparison...
Weird feeling, energy-wise, color spectrum was different.
The best comparison would be like if you guys have ever experienced like a big forest fire around where you live, and like kind of the air or the sky turns like a reddish color, a little bit more, but had a more warmth glow.
Feels like that haze.
Yeah,
except there wasn't any haze.
But
it was like a
haze.
perfectly clear day today.
It was clear.
Which just made it that much more dramatic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, we did know that there are people that went up into your brother went up into the mountains.
Right.
And there was a lot of neat photos I saw that people had taken up there where they actually got some actual good darkness shots up higher on some of the mountains.
Well, the whole thing is like the totality, right?
Yeah.
So when people
even though
talk
we were
about
only 99.5% totality in this area.
We missed out on that point. Yeah.
There were people that made their way to various areas.
But Idaho's where it's at for that. Like, there were people coming from out of the country to come
Neil deGrasse Tyson has been in town this weekend to be here for it. So...
So everybody's in town just to come look at this thing for 2 minutes, and then, well, that's it, heading home.
And it was over so fast. I mean, I time-lapsed it on my phone. Like, I kind of got a good shot, and it was weird seeing that, in the time-lapse, it was only dark for, a split second in the time-lapse, but in real life, it was really only dark for a minute. I mean, and then it was over, and that was it. And because you started seeing it get bright again, and it was kind of like, I wouldn't say disappointing, but kind of sad because you're like, I waited all this time for this big buildup only to have this short period of darkness. So
you were cynical, then you got excited about it, and then you got a little cynical.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, my thought did change. Like, when I was sitting there on the dock, I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. Like, this is looking awesome.
Because Anthony came down to my parents' dock too, so we all just kind of sat down there and got a good look at it. But I think probably the one part that was like, a lot of people may not have considered it was the animals acting kind of weird, because down on the lake you get a lot of birds, you get fish, you get all this stuff going on.
There's a lot
but
of
it's
things.
Basically just all that wildlife, and it started to act a little funny as the sun started to get covered up there. Because they all thought it was night. They didn't know what to do.
And I think like probably the funniest part was when all of the lights, the outside lights that are triggered by
they're solar lights.
The solar lights that trigger and they turned on
the dock.
And you're like okay, it's actually
it's dark enough. Those lights actually came on by themselves.
so that was interesting to see. So that was kind of what we did for the first part of the morning. So it was kind of cool just to experience that, because
it was a light morning. We kind of came in and just kind of hung out, did the crew down there did some caught up on some emails, and then the crew in our downstairs, their fulfillment and all that, they got some orders sent out, and
don't worry, you're not being ignored. They're getting work done.
And then at about 10:30 everybody just kind of left and headed out to go do stuff. But the city has been like a ghost town.
It's weird. It's eerie.
It's very strange to on a Monday morning to when I was on my way to work this morning. I was like, there was no traffic.
No.
And I ended up, what normally takes me 30 minutes to get in, I got it in under 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to get me a burrito or something. Like,
yeah, buddy.
I got some time, so
Yeah.
it was good. But it was definitely surprising. But then the drive home, or drive back, after the eclipse, there was way more traffic on the road. It was like everybody was going back to work.
They're like, well, I'm done
Maybe
going. Bye.
people got half day or something and took the morning off for it. But
I suspect that may have been the case.
Yeah.
I think the reason, I don't know about you, Anthony, because I know you felt cynical. I was a little cynical about it, mostly because, I mean, I knew it was coming, like, years in advance, but I didn't really put much thought into it. You know, I'd heard it briefly here and there, and then to suddenly have everybody going flipping nuts over this. Like, I went into a store and they had like a marketing display. I think it was just all the commercialism of it.
Yeah.
I know we're a company, but commercialism.
It was pretty crazy.
It kind of rubs me the wrong way when I'm just looking around like, really? And you see like you step into like a Walmart and you see the they made an Eclipse out of Pepsi and Coke and like Mountain Dew and stuff, and it's just this giant Eclipse, just a big old circular Eclipse display, and it was like 15 feet tall. I'm not even exaggerating; it was huge. And you're looking at like, what does Walmart have to do with?
And then, the Fred Meyers was
or
doing
Fred Meyers
total eclipse of the cart. That was what their sales were this weekend. It was called total eclipse of the cart, and then
Points
the fair
for creativity. Then.
And then the fair today was doing a thing like eclipse the fair or something.
The fairgrounds are a good place to look because you got all that open space once again. So,
So, no, like there's all the water. Like they had all like the big old cases of waters outside of Walmart, thinking like this could be like an apocalyptic thing. Like,
they were saying that.
Get your water
like,
now.
Get your waters
like,
now.
really?
And,
Yeah, they were talking about NPR last night. I heard I was working on the car in the garage, and it was on, and they kept saying like, make sure you bring stuff because there's such an influx of people to these mountain towns. That you're probably not gonna be able to buy anything. And like I was talking to a friend of mine, he was like, I'm bringing a couple extra gallons of gas when we drive up there, just in case we don't have. The gas stations.
Yeah, with the sun gone for 2 minutes, we got to gas the generators up. You don't know how long it's gonna be there for.
But it was cool though. It did get cold.
Yep, it
probably got down to about 60 degrees, maybe 55.
It was like a 10 to 15 degree drop.
Cold
it was
because it was about 70 when we all left.
What was kind of fun and trippy was I think this applied to anybody who had like shade near them, but they were in the quote unquote sunlight.
Yeah,
you walk out in the sunlight and they walk in the shade, no difference in temperature. Yeah. It's exactly the same. It was really kind of a bizarre feeling, like, oh, I see it, but I don't feel it. So it was just kind of trippy. But so that was our morning.
It was a good little morning. So. We had a sale this past weekend.
Yep,
Dog
it's
days.
actually going on right now, but by the time you hear this, it'll be over.
Yeah.
So.
So if you're watching,
sorry to build you up on that.
go buy some towels. Just like William, make sure you got plenty of towels.
Levi's got his live feed on Facebook
on his phone. We've got it live on Facebook.
Don't get confused if you're a William out there that's listening to this.
Too late.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, so we did have a sale. And a lot of good feedback from that. A lot of people have picked up.
A lot of orders this morning.
Yeah, a lot of orders. Basically, long story short, we brought back some awesome towels for people for this specific sale. One of them being the kerpluffle, because we know how many people love the kerpluffle. So we had just a few cases left. And I think those are gone. They're gone now for sure.
People, it was so funny. At first, people were like really leery. They're like, well, if it's a messed up towel, why are you selling it? Why would you want? And then people actually got them and they're like, okay, if this is your idea of a messed up towel.
Yeah, like little they know, like half of our towels that we've created, have been one-offs.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents.
Like the Everest 800, for example. That was something that came from the factory.
One of my favorite towels.
Was supposed to be the big guy, the 1100, came out a little lower, but the pile was short, but it was still a really dense towel at 800 some odd GSM. Yeah. So that became a favorite of like certain detailers who wanted something aggressive but still had that kind of chunkiness, that weight.
Yeah, that weight.
It's one of those kind of acquired tastes, but the people who like it love it.
Yeah, super
The kerpluffle was similar because what happened was one side was a little shorter than the other when they should have been the same. That's really all it was. It still had the awesome suede, buttersoft suede border, and all that stuff. So if you got those, you got a deal, a steal.
It was a lightweight pluffle, if that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a lightweight pluffle, and it still did everything that the pluffle did. but just and with a shorter pile.
And people ask, like, how did you guys bring these back? I thought when you get rid of, I had a question like that the other day, and it was, we found a box.
That's literally what happens.
That's literally what it was.
It's a big warehouse. Sometimes things get lost back there.
Yeah, and we found an extra case, and so it was just, let's clean some house. We found a case of kerpluffles and a case of some older creatures, some blonde creatures that we don't carry anymore.
Blonde ones.
So we do. That's how we do it. We didn't put in a special request to the factory for these towels so we could do this sale. It literally is what we found in the warehouse that was left over. To the point that some of the towels, they were literally counting them, so we knew how many we had.
Yeah, because you don't want to be caught off guard.
It wasn't a full case.
Because some people, they're like they're hoarding them. They're like getting a ton of them at once. So you got to be prepared when somebody.
Well, and we have to inventory it, so we need to know what's left of that, and that makes sure that we were right. And we just get so many towels in, so many shipments in. We're pulling in a container of towels just about.
Well, for anybody who runs a business that has, several, you'd say SKUs, a lot of different products, inventorying is your friend. I know if you're a detailer, it's still good to know your inventory of tools and different stuff like that, but when you're a business that's selling physical products, you gotta know your inventory.
Well, and we do it, but you gotta understand, folks, we've got 500,000 towels in this facility, and then we have more, and then we also have...
We're acquiring more space across the parking lot.
So we're trying to consolidate everything and keep it on. So basically, we went through, did an inventory, found we had some leftover stuff, and that's why we had a clearance sale.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're trying to blow out that stock because guess what? We got another container coming in about a week or so, and it's going to have some more new stuff on it as well. So
always new stuff.
We're always trying to innovate, have some new products and things like that. We sent out some products to our test team. Mm-hmm. So we do have a dedicated test team that are all handpicked by me personally. They're guys that I know and respect, and girls, people. And they're great detailers. But we sent out some products for them to test. So we do that, some real world testing, so to speak. One, just to make our improvements or any changes or anything we want to make happen. And I'm sure you guys have seen certain things that we've done where we've done that. But to any customers that do purchase our products, if you guys have any suggestions on how we could make a product better,
we actually listen. Seriously,
we totally do really enjoy that stuff. So if you feel like it, send us an email. Send us a message on Facebook, any of that kind of stuff. We're all really good about answering that kind of stuff.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight as far as changes go.
No, we do have a lot of changes, but we do like to know.
Yeah.
Just like if you have a towel that's linting, or you have a towel that isn't doing what you need to do, or you have a quality issue on a product, which God forbid never happens, but they do. And we always like to be keen of that situation so that we know and we do our best to address it and fix it and repair it or make it better. But we like to know, because if there is an issue, we did have a towel that we had to pull because of some quality control issues on it. That was because we do real world testing on products, and we like to see how their performance is. And, we realized it wasn't going to work for us and for the company to keep carrying that until it received an overhaul. So those are the kind of things we do. And then like the kerpluffle, that was a fluke. That was just a mistake that our factory made without consulting us first. They ended up shipping. Normally they give us a test batch, and then we okay it, and then they can send the rest of them. This time they didn't.
And as far as, you want like some little inside baseball as far as, the way that stuff works. When they send it, it is expensive to have stuff shipped. So when you have an issue with something like that, you basically, confronted with, it's going to be a very long time before the actual pluffles are available.
Which is what
And you have people demanding pluffles, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, you offer them the alternative that's available,
which
because you tested it and they do work. They worked awesome.
Yeah, and so we used the kerpluffle at a huge discount to customers so that they could purchase it and use it. We had the stock. We had to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And people had been literally knocking our door down asking for pluffles and when are they coming back.
There were like threats coming
But what
in.
we had to do was once we received those kerpluffles, we had to call the factory and say, stop everything else that you're working on.
Make these happen.
Make the pluffle happen. We have to have it.
Because
they pushed. They made it in record time, but it felt like a long time for a lot of people. It's probably about 6 to 8 weeks before we got.
Yeah,
the
I don't
real
think
ones back
people
in.
appreciate how long this stuff really does take.
No,
the factories do their best, and they are extremely competent, high quality, all this stuff. But sometimes it means you got to wait. Plus, it's got to ride on a boat across the ocean to come here. That takes time, but not like weeks, like a delivery, like you order and it takes like a week or two, depending on where you are. It's months.
Sometimes it's months. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks. It just depends on.
Yeah.
We know when all of our stuff's coming, so we know what to expect. But
yeah. So please understand, if something's not here, it's not because we just don't like you and we don't want it to be here. We do like you. We want to offer you the product, but when it's not here, it's not here.
Yeah, literally. If we don't have it, nobody does.
Yep.
And then what else do we want to talk about?
Oh, well, you know what? I think we were going to touch into a little bit of YouTube as a platform for detailers.
That's right.
I mean, hey, we're the media arm of this stuff, and Levi, he's the face here, so he offers the detailing perspective, and Anthony and I generally hang out in the background, edit this stuff up, but we just kind of want to talk a little bit about, how YouTube's really coming into its own for detailers. And, it's been that way for a while, but you just see more and more of it every day. New people coming into the...
Especially in the last 2 years, not only our channel, but many others have grown and grown. To those of you just coming into the industry, you're coming into, so to speak, a golden age of information, and...
It's kind of like a rebirth for the industry.
It's pretty amazing. 20 years ago, I had no idea about half of this stuff that I watch on YouTube. One, YouTube didn't exist. The internet had just really started rolling. I remember having email with all my friends and being able to do that.
Pre-2000s internet.
So it was dial-up and all that good stuff. But I only had the guy on the truck.
Yep.
That came and brought me chemicals. That was who I had to bounce ideas off of. There weren't detailing forums. There probably were, but there wasn't certain
like
websites. It wasn't like you could buy stuff from Grioche catalog.
Right. Yeah, I mean it operated off catalogs. And the guys at trucks would sometimes have catalogs.
If you were lucky, and it just depended on where you were in the country. So. You go to a body shop to try and buy certain products,
but your resources were basically wherever you were willing to travel to get that information. It wasn't something that was readily available.
Exactly.
At your
fingertips. When I was testing new products for my shop to put in my shop, having YouTube was awesome because I could literally write.
You could reference against somebody else's experience.
I could search a video and watch how it was done. I could search a forum and see other people's experiences or reactions as to how it worked. John Miller has his Old Gray Whistle Test blogspot, which is the detailer's wiki, and that was indispensable. We had we used that all the time because it was fun to finally have answers that had been in my head for so long and have someone validate that was a real thing and not just me making something up in my head.
I think this goes for like anybody who does like how-to tutorial, like YouTube videos and stuff. When you're doing stuff by yourself and you don't have something to compare your experience against, being able to see others do something and see them like repeat those results or get something entirely different, it's so incredibly helpful because I think a lot of people have one bad experience with a product and maybe they did it right, maybe they did it wrong, but they have that bad experience and they write it off completely because they didn't actually take the time to, find out if they could repeat the same result again and it was really bad or if it was just the way they did it or the conditions they were in.
Yeah, and, I still get emails to this day of people that are they only watch a certain video series and then they asked a very simple question that can be easily answered, but they're utilizing, let's say they're looking at me for the answer, which is awesome. Yeah. They're looking for the answer. But it's an answer that is easily searchable.
Sure.
That can be answered very quickly without having to come to me, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not saying that, like, don't write me.
Please continue to write Levi. He does like it.
But there's certain things that are very, very simple and easy for people to find or utilize or learn.
More accessible now than ever.
Yeah, than having to search out the one guy that would know the answer. Now, there are, seriously, but I did that. I got a message today, and I referred somebody to another person and just said, I don't know the answer to that one. You're going to have to talk to so-and-so. So, But, again, I gave them the info. They could call them. Now, I could probably have done the search myself and looked it up for them, but...
Or if you're sarcastic and rude like I sometimes am, you'll do that let me Google that for you little thing where you just put it up into the URL and then they click on it and it basically just does this really condescending thing where it Googles it for them, like right in front of their face. I love that, but that's because I can.
Yeah, it would be fun, but I don't get that ability. I don't get that get to do that.
But hey, customer service, you do it right. You make them feel appreciated because they are. And that's that. But, my personal time, I'm going to make that happen. So. Well, Anthony, let's hear your take on this.
So I'm going to be honest with everybody right now. So I kind of I had some thoughts, and it's really hard to jump in a podcast. I'll tell you right now, with 3 people, you kind of hear a spot where you're like, I want to jump in and say something, but you're like, I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to cut anybody off. So that's where I'm at right now.
Cut people off. Just do it.
There was some spots that I had some things going on, totally lost track of the conversation. So we were talking about YouTube. And
FYI, he was on his phone half the time Levi and I are talking.
Well, because I'm like, I'll have my chance soon, and then I didn't. And so where are we at?
All right. So basically, I'm not even going to edit this. This is just the way it's going to go.
Off the rails.
Yeah. See, real life, guys.
This is real. Yeah, this is real life.
So basically, we're kind of touching on having YouTube as a resource, something where you can compare your results against someone else's. Being able to actually know if that bad experience you had with the product was just a bad experience or if it means the product is actually bad. It's one of those cases where having something to compare to
down a rabbit hole now.
Yeah, this is detailing is niche. We're just digging right in.
You guys are deep in it right now. Okay, so
but hey, any YouTube stuff is good. So
but you came to detailing, so let's just step back. We were talking about your dad this morning and his truck.
Yeah.
And how when you were a kid, he kept that thing really nice. You remember him washing and waxing and doing all that stuff, and you were worried about if you were going to be that way, which you are now.
Yeah.
You keep your stuff nice. But at the time, when your dad bought a new truck, he sold his classic pickup that was all finished and restored and nice. But when he bought his new truck, you said he stopped
caring. So
it became a work truck.
I guess to touch up on that, it's just a lot of people, they'll buy a toy, they'll buy something that they put a lot of time and a lot of money into. Like my dad had a '64, Chevy C10 is what it was. Yeah. So I don't know a ton about classic trucks where Levi does. So and he had one. It was beautiful. I mean, I remember just like I said, being a kid and seeing him wax it and seeing him constantly. I mean, Armor All when I was a kid was the thing. Just put on Armor All and everything, buffing chrome and then I remember one day he picked up a new Tundra. This is back when I was 2003. When I was 13. He bought a Toyota Tundra.
Oh, you just dated yourself.
And yeah, I did. So and he bought this truck, and then I just remember after he bought this truck, he kind of just had his old truck sitting there, and he eventually just kind of lost interest in it. And I noticed that with his new truck, he didn't care about waxing it, he didn't care about polishing it, care about buffing anything out on it. He just I don't know. He lost interest, shifted interest, or something.
That spark,
I guess.
Well, did he have any hobbies that he segued into, or was it just kind of?
I don't know. It was just one of those he cared so much about the other truck that maybe he lost.
Maybe got burned out.
Got burned out, possibly.
Was there any sentimental attachment to the truck? Belonged to his dad or something that?
No, but that was his truck that had been through. He'd been through hell and back with that thing. Okay. I mean, it had been stolen. It had been recovered. Oh. It had been stripped. It had been put back together. It was one of those trucks that he really did go through hell and back with it. And so, no, and I think that it was just one of those things where you just kind of some people lose interest in detailing and some people kind of stick with it. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that it's a skill that once you have it, it's kind of hard to not have it anymore. But I can see how somebody would maybe not care. I guess, for example, with me, I came from a background of bodybuilding and came from a background of fitness to where I counted every calorie, every gram of protein, fats, carbs. I broke down how many amino acids I was getting per day, my multivitamin intake, my fish oil intake. Basically, I was so over the top with it, on top of that, with working out, that I never lost that knowledge. Like, I still have that to this day, but my interests have changed since those days, and so I'm not as particular as OCD about that stuff anymore. But it's not to say that I don't have that knowledge. So I think with detailing, I guess in a big circle we just went around, basically once you know how to properly detail a car, once you know the right things to do, it's not that you're ever going to forget that. I mean, you may be behind a little bit in times with technology and whatnot that advances, but it would be a choice maybe just not to care versus...
It's having those fundamentals above anything else. And then you can come back with muscle memory, etc.
Yeah, well, and there's also that... I joke that I'm actually, really lazy when it comes to detailing.
That's like Ivan's favorite thing to say.
It's good enough. But Ivan's I'm cheap and lazy, so anything that makes him work cheap and lazy works best.
Most efficient way.
But, I don't obsess over something. So, take for instance, maybe because I come from it from a standpoint of trying to make a profit. Mm-hmm. So I would have, if there was my own personal car or family car, which I've done for my dad or any of that kind of stuff, I've put the time and effort to make it perfect and make it right. On my minivan, I had got 25 hours in paint correction on it, on just the exterior where I wet sanded panels and
most importantly, you are capable of it. You just understand that there are diminishing returns.
Right. So
because at the end of the day, it's business.
Right. And if there was a customer that came in that's only going to pay for that one-step polish, I will do my best to give them the best level of correction I could for the price that they were paying. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to undercut them or I'm going to, not do half the work. I will go above and beyond. We'll add a sealant, or sometimes we would spend plenty of time correcting the paint, but they didn't want to bring up that next level of paint for, gloss coat, which would make our life easier and their life easier. They just didn't want to pay for it. Well, in those instances, if they were a good customer, we'd go above and beyond and do it for them.
And you make them aware of that
and make them aware of it, and they'd be really impressed. But I also wanted them to know that we put that product on their vehicle so that they could watch the performance of it, get to know the product, and utilize it. Now, it only cost me maybe $20 to put that on the vehicle, but because it took the same amount of time to put a paint sealant on as it did to put, say, gloss coat. But the customer got a better result in some instances. Or we'd get that customer that, say a car the size of your Miata, Dane, something small, something easy, and
that's like a lunch break length car.
It's going to take us literally 15 minutes to polish. Do a one-step polish that's going to make it look better, but they don't have it in the budget.
No.
My guys would do it if they wanted to or felt the need to. And I tell them, I go, well, they're not paying for it.
Right.
And I'm not going to pay you for it because we're not getting paid for it. But if you want to do it because that's how you feel, by all means, that's you donating your time to go above and beyond in the service for that customer.
But you're doing yourself a disservice if you...
You're not going to make that money, but you do need to understand that you're not going to make... I'm not going to pay you anymore for taking another 20 minutes to do this extra step, so to speak. But we would do it because my guys liked, one, to hone their skills.
Absolutely.
Two, they liked being able to... they liked it when the customers were impressed to see that. And it was also motivated by sometimes they'd get a tip by the customer because they went above and beyond. So they knew that they were going to get the whole that whole tip from the customer, hopefully.
And usually that look on their faces, that's worth it.
Right.
Other times you get the folks who just aren't impressed by anything.
Now,
so.
I did have customers that were big tippers and would always tip on every job. And my guys would go out of their way to do extra things because they knew they were going to get a tip from that customer, and so they would do it anyway.
Their rewarding nature. So
and so it's kind of a nice little circle for them. They didn't have a problem spending an extra 20, 30 minutes on the car doing something extra. They'd check first. We'd make sure it wasn't anything that we were going to lose money on.
Yeah, sure.
You don't want to spend the money on and
pro tip, losing money is bad for business.
Yeah, you don't want them wasting 30 minutes of labor to get a $5 tip. But that's how it worked. So,
man, I thought Anthony was going to come in with some fire there, but okay. Well, I mean, we kind of touched on those major points, but something that came up today, and actually Anthony wrote in on this, was just kind of skipping through Reddit and caught a guy who wanted to talk frankly about sealants versus coatings and stuff like that. So, hey, why don't we do a little actual tech talk? Because I know people want to tune in and hear what we have to say, but why not let Anthony and Levi here, who both had experience with different coatings and stuff, weigh in. I'm probably not the best guy to talk about it, but I know you two are.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You can start.
No, I think a lot of people ask nowadays, especially so this guy on Reddit, for example, today, was talking about his experience with coatings and then just generally wanting to talk to other detailers about why they chose a coating over a sealant, or why a hobbyist or maybe just a car enthusiast in general would choose to go with a coating over a sealant or over a wax or something like that. And so, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, different perspectives on this. Some people love everything about coatings, whereas some people really like to try different sealants and try different waxes and see which is going to give them the most gloss. And so the guy today was talking about how he actually had a bad experience with OptiCoat Pro Plus. However, he did have a okay experience with Sealants UK.
Yeah, but he didn't elaborate on any of the issues as to what, he said there was some...
Yeah, it was very
short
vague,
stuff.
Very vague.
He talked about wanting to have a frank discussion, but he didn't provide enough details of his own experience that really got to the process or anything. I mean, he could have applied it wrong. We don't know how old
the OC... Well, he didn't apply it. He had an installer apply it.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
But
he said it was a trusted guy.
But he didn't say how he cared for it. He didn't talk about how, if he had OCP Plus and he was still using a car wash, automatic car wash, or he was using a drying aid on top that wasn't an Optimum drying aid.
Right.
Like an Optimum branded drying aid, because that's important. You need to know that when you do put any type of drying aid on the surface of a coating, the coating then takes on the characteristics of whatever's on top of it. So
you like to talk about surface tension a lot.
Basically, it changes it completely.
Yeah.
So a coating is designed to do its thing on its own, nothing on top of it. Now, the Optimum line of products, all three of them work about the same, but they are approved to be used on top of OptiCoat Pro Plus. Same with the Sealants Reload. The Reload spray is designed to go on top of Sealants UK and all that, and any of the Sealants line, all the way up to Finest and Reserve. That way they can play well with what the coating's supposed to do and help protect and help increase the coating's sheddability, so to speak, I'll say.
And I'll just point out that, for people who aren't familiar who are listening, Levi has experience using all these products. This isn't something where he's, speaking because he read it in a manual somewhere. He actually has used all these products, so he has real-world experience to apply to this.
Yeah, but if you are a customer and you're getting your car coated, and then the first thing you do after 2 months, you've spent the money, got it coated, you decide to take your old school paste wax and wax the surface of your car, or you like Colonite Power Lock on top of your coatings.
I gotta layer it.
Yeah, you want to build some layers of it. It's gonna change it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that can factor in is contamination on the coating. So certain pollutants, environmental pollutants, metal droppings, shavings, all that kind of stuff, fallout from everything can affect the coating, where some coatings tend to grab and hold on to all those, and they need to be cleaned. And so that we don't know if those cars went through a decontamination wash, yearly or, every 6 months or whatever. We don't know if that was, Optimum OptiCoat Pro recommends a clean once a year, and at least a wash with O&R. You can use any wash, but they would recommend you use O&R, same as using like Hydro or something like that, or Reload wash with the C-Quartz line. And every company is that way. So the key is just making sure that you know the company of the coating that you're going to use, and then as well the recommended ways to care for it. Now, I did have customers that would get their car coated, and they would run it through the car wash.
That had to hurt.
They would run it through a scratchy car wash or a touchless car wash.
With acid.
With acids. And then come back and go, well, the coating doesn't work anymore. And
people don't seem to realize.
We would explain, and everybody that got coated knew that they weren't allowed to do that, knew that it violated the warranty, knew that it did. I went through that with my customers and made sure they were all educated on it.
But it's just so convenient.
But that's the thing. There are people that aren't going to change to want to wash their own car. They like going through the car wash. And for a lot of customers, it's hey, if there's no dirt on the car's clean. They don't see scratches. They don't see, the swirls and all that stuff that traditional true detailers can see. So it's also on knowing your customer and what they're going to do. And, I'm not saying anything bad about this guy. He may just not have been educated into how the coating works.
So maybe take some sociology classes before becoming a detailer.
You got to learn how your customer is going to handle it. Now, there are guys that, and this comes up in a lot of the groups and forums, that you can, how do you teach a customer how to do that? Anthony over here, you got your car coated in OptiCoat Pro Plus.
Yep.
And you wash it at home. Yes. You don't run it through a car wash. You don't do any of those things. You use O&R. You learned how to use O&R. Mm-hmm. And how's your life been impacted by it?
And you are obsessive about this kind of stuff. You're paranoid about the car leaving the garage, it seems, half the time. Yeah. So whereas Levi maybe can let it go in the right circumstances, you're always... It's just that thing. I mean, I'll let you.
Well, the coating is designed to be a sacrificial layer.
Right.
So if, let's say you have a brand new car, you put the coating on so that you protect it from bird droppings, from car wash scratches, all that stuff. Because manufacturers are using less and less clear coat on a vehicle.
Because your paint's still alive under there.
Yeah. So the paint is thin, but the coating goes on top to protect the clear underneath that is thin. That's what the coating's job is. So, how old's your car? Your Evo?
11 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you coated on top. You kept it in good shape.
Yes.
And then you guys did a full paint correction on it, got it all looking sharp, and then coated it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now, what's your maintenance on it that you do when you wash it?
So the car is already. When I bought that car, I could talk all day about this. But when I bought the car, it was just in remarkable condition, and the paint was flawless when I got it. So I really kind of scored just right off the get go. But the first thing I did, obviously, when I bought the car was looked up how to properly wash it, and that's where I got really into detailing. But I chose to get it coated mainly for the fact that it's a Mitsubishi, so obviously the paint isn't what I'd call thick, and so it's got really thin paint just from the factory itself, and I kind of just wanted to do whatever I could to prolong the life of that paint, and so I could do a wax and sealant every couple months and keep it looking good and keep it protected, but I wanted something to where I had maybe a little bit more scratch resistance, more chemical resistance than a sealant would. So I guess, what we did is we polished it, polished it to perfection, to the point where there was there was nothing on the car. It was perfect. And so we kind of went the extra step doing that. I mean, and even polished the odd areas. We kind of Matt Mormoned it with, polishing the fender well,
no stone left unturned.
Underneath, all the little cracks and crevices, we got through everything because I did want everything coated with the OptiCoat Pro. But no, ever since I've done that, it really, not only does it look good, and not only does it feel like it's kind of like locked in time, but the washes have gotten so much easier, and using O&R and being able to wash it in my garage has been a huge help. I mean, I'm not there making this giant mess like I would before, and to be honest, if I didn't have the car coated, I would probably be a little more leery doing nothing but O&R washes.
Your dog got in your garage and jumped on your car.
Yeah, so that was a nightmare. So over the 4th of July, I was out of town, but my roommate was home with my 100-pound golden retriever, and my roommate is I just having an off. Let's just say
he made a mistake.
He made a mistake, and the dog started freaking out due to the fireworks, and he thought maybe putting the dog in the garage with my car would be an okay idea
all your motorcycles
for some reason. So he put the dog out in the garage, and when I got home later that night, I opened up the garage to see my dog running out, and my girlfriend looks at me and she says, "Hey, you should probably check your car because that dog I know jumped on your car." And I'm like, "Please don't say that." So I am out there at 3 o'clock in the morning after a couple of drinks with a scan grip light, with my garage open, trying to find where the dog jumped on the car, which I did. I totally found out where he did, and I was a little stressed out, but the next day, I met up with my friend Brian, who's a detailer, and who helped me with the OptiCoat Pro application, and we went over it.
He is an installer.
Yep. And he is an installer, and so we went over it with a black pad and a little bit of some hyper polish, and to my amaze, it like any scratch, any small little thing that happened was just gone. And if it wasn't for the OptiCoat Pro Plus, I think there would have been a ton more damage, because when you have a 100-pound golden retriever jumping on my rear quarter panel with nails, and I was expecting for him to be through my clear coat, through my paint.
Those claws would easily go through regular
I was expecting it to be pretty bad, and to not have it be bad at all, and just to have it, polished off and then recoated with the OptiCoat Pro Plus again, I was just jazzed.
And that can be for any coating. The goal to remember with a coating is it's not scratch resistant, it's got scratch resistance.
Yeah.
It's not scratch proof.
Yeah, it's not scratch proof. It's going to limit the scratches that you're going to get. You'll still get scratches, but you're not going to get your everyday scratches like when you're washing your car, you get scratches. When you're drying your car, you get scratches. When you do like my kids do and walk down and rub their hand down the side of the vehicle when the car's covered in dirt or dust, you can get scratches from that. That's a normal everyday wear and tear, which causes cars to get diminished, and the shininess disappears, all that kind of stuff, and you've got to polish all that back out. But what a coating does is, like Anthony said, it kind of locks the car into a time capsule and provides that layer of protection, because it's a harder surface, and it's going to try and resist that as much as it physically can. It's, there's still going to be a scratch, but those scratches are going to be able to be removed easier. The car's going to look nicer. For me, when I coated my van, it was mostly to protect, and I've said this in many episodes of Detox, it was because I have toddlers, and they like to walk in the garage with Hot Wheel cars and drive it down the side of a black van and show me that their new Hot Wheels can drive on the side of the car. And or my son would walk in to show me a stick he found in the yard, and he wanted to drag it down the side of the car to show me.
It was like walking in between the two cars, and I got the stick pointing out both ends.
And we were talking. Anthony and I were talking about the same thing. He remembers when he was a kid. He's pretty sure he hit his dad's truck with his bike. He doesn't remember if he scratched it or hurt it. I told him
there's brain damage that came right after that. I don't know what.
I did that too as a kid, and so for me, I like coated cars. One, cleans easier, but two, it provides me a little more, I can sleep at night, so to speak, because I know that the car's not, when they do things like that, it's not as bad.
Right, because it seems like maybe it's just me reading too much into it, maybe a little projection or something. But when I see people, come at coatings like in a really defensive posture, like they almost feel threatened as someone who likes waxes, that coatings even exist. Like, oh my God, they're going to stop making my waxes, and they're just going to do coatings.
That do push to say that you don't ever need to wax, and wax is dead.
And that's not. It's purely a personal preference.
Yeah, and
when it comes down to it, it's what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, and sealants and traditional waxes do provide a bit more warmth to the surface of the paint. But that's the nature of the products as they're going on the surface. And, a lot of people find it therapeutic to wax and seal and do all that stuff, and that's great. Like, I have no issues.
Nothing wrong with that.
We were outside playing with some products, and I had my little Elantra out there. That doesn't have a coating on it. I've owned that car for 12 years. I bought it brand new off the lot with 15 miles on it, and it's only ever had waxes and sealants applied to it. It doesn't have a coating on it. I'm going to keep it for a couple more years.
It looks good. It's probably the nicest looking Elantra.
Yeah, it stays in good shape.
let's be realistic.
I'm going to say that too often about an Elantra.
An Elantra, though.
Ooh, it's a 2006, in case you guys are wondering. A GLS. Elantra GLS.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
But yeah, it's, as long as you're protecting and caring for the paint, you win. Yeah. Period. Everybody wins. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's on what you want to do, what you like, how you care for it. I like coatings because I like the easeability of cleaning the vehicle.
You only lose if you
and the protection.
Don't protect the car.
I also like waxes and sealants. I have no issues in that. My silver car, which is the Elantra, been sealants and waxes because you can't see half the scratches in it, so it's not as noticeable. In my black van, I wanted a coating because you can see the scratches a lot more.
You see everything.
Our new Camry is bright red.
You can see it in that color,
You can see that too. And so, there's certain vehicles, your charcoal gray Evo, you can see that kind of stuff. So
it's got that metallic sparkle in it and everything. Yeah. It's a cool color. And that Pro Plus, it
made it pop. You pulled a bunch more flake.
Yeah.
It really changes
glossy showing.
Yeah, no, there's certain, that's the thing, guys. There's paint out there. Every, like any good detailer knows, every situation is different. Every paint, every panel is different. You have to do test spots. You have to see what's going to work for your car.
But your fundamentals are your fundamentals.
But yeah, you're still going to have a lot of the same fundamentals. But the thing is you can't say that maybe I guess you can't say that a ceramic coating or a coating is going to look better than a sealant every time. That's not the case.
No, that's
I have a coated car, and I still have sealant envy when I see some cars out there that are trying out new sealants, or even Colonite, for example. I saw a C7 Z06 with Colonite on it, and I was like, holy gloss, that thing looks insane.
That's the one I'm thinking of. That was gorgeous.
Absolutely insane. I'm like, what is that? That looks crazy. And I'm like, well, that's not the highest end ceramic coating. That's not what it is. But it still has that pop. Yeah, it's just Colonite, and it looks awesome. So that's kind of the thing. It's just because it's a ceramic coating, and I guess on the same topic, just because a lot of people are moving to ceramic coatings and choosing to do those, that does not mean that those are necessarily going to look the best maybe for what you want, because at the end of the day, we care about looks and we care about protection, and to some people, looks outweigh protection, and other people, protection outweighs looks. In my case, I wanted protection because of how thin my Evo paint was, to whereas looks, I would still wanted it to look good, which is why I went with Pro Plus, but it was still, protection was my ultimate goal. Now, if you were somebody that had maybe thick paint or had a great paint job, and you weren't super worried about protection,
like an aftermarket paint job where you know how much they put on there, you're well aware.
And if you had a ton of clear, then you can go to town all day with sealants and waxes and not have to worry, because worst case scenario, if your paint gets etched by chemicals or bugs, or you get small imperfections and scratches, you could polish those out because you have a ton of clear coat, and then you reseal it, we wax it, and your life is good. But that's not the case for everyone.
So when you got the thin stuff, like Levi said, it's that sacrificial layer. If something happens to that, it's much better to happen to that than your actual original paint underneath.
And for people that are leasing cars, they, when you lease a car, you're responsible for all the damage.
Oh, yeah.
They go through and they check it when you go to turn it back in. So that's why people like doing the PPF on a leased vehicle. They love adding a coating to a leased vehicle because of the fact that they want to keep that car as perfect as it possibly can. One, so you can get more money back, or be able to not have a level of depreciation. Now, if it was you getting your car coated and wrapped with PPF and all that, and you washed it every couple weeks, say with a rinseless wash, or even did a great 2-bucket wash on it, and then there was a guy that just had the same car but leased it and drove it off the showroom floor, parked it in a parking lot for a year, say in Seattle, like we talked about on Reddit, that it's just sat in a parking lot for 1 year, and then you gave it one wash job a year.
Yeah, because understandably so. Like, if we kind of touch on that a little bit, how they were looking at that and like, I don't see how somebody has to constantly go back every year and polish those things. That makes no sense. Like, they thought it was literally in the museum.
Yeah.
No, this is outdoors in the elements. It's like parking outside next to the ocean and leaving your car there for a year with single stage paint on it.
Yeah, but in this sense, it's 2 fully clear coated cars, but one has PPF and a coating on top of a ceramic coating. The other one is just factory clear. You take both of those back after 5 years, the person that's doing the maintenance on their vehicle the right way is going to get more money out of it than the guy who decided to run it through the car wash one last time before he took it back.
And it's not an insubstantial
and
amount.
It's the only time
noticeable.
it's only been washed maybe 5 times in 5 years, where the other guy's got all the protection, all the coating, all that stuff on it. And maybe he does put a drying aid like a sealant or a wax or some sort on top of that just for fun. Or a brightener like an instant detail or something, to do that, he's going to get more money out of his car.
Yeah.
And the same goes if you're trying to sell your car. Those people that keep their car nice are able to get more for their money because they've kept it in such great shape. Now, you can get your car detailed, and I've had tons of customers who did that. They're getting ready to sell their car, they bring it in to get it detailed because it's hammered. Now, we make it better than what it was hammered.
But you let it get hammered.
But you let it get hammered.
You can only unhammer it so much.
Right. But it is funny when some of those people come in and go, "What? I didn't know it was going to look this good."
Yeah. Now I kind of want to keep it.
Right. And I did. I had a customer that did that. He called me and said, "I need you to detail my wife's car." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's so dirty. She's looking at a new car, and we can't afford a new car. I need you to detail it because I need at least another year or 2 out of this vehicle before I can buy her something." He goes, "But she's at the dealerships looking because she just can't drive this car anymore."
Oh, impatient people.
It literally just needed to be detailed. Mm-hmm. And they've got 4 kids. She tried her best to keep it clean. He tried his best, but he's always traveling.
There's usually a cutoff point
somewhere. Time gets away from all of
Yeah.
us. Anybody with kids understands that. There's just not enough hours in the day to do everything.
And if my house ain't so great.
Right. So,
But yeah.
And for me, that's how I relax. Mm-hmm. So I need to go out and wash the car every Saturday and go through the car and vacuum it and clean it. Like, I need to do that for my own sake. That's just me, and I'm weird. But that's not them.
Not to these guys, you're not.
Yeah, to you guys, you probably understand that. But to this customer, he'd rather go camping with his kids. That's a way to relax, Or
it's just one little facet. The rest of life.
But cleaning the car wasn't. And so when he brought it in, we just did a normal general detail on the interior. Shampooed the carpets and upholstery. We washed the outside and just did a wax on it.
So you didn't even polish
We didn't even polish it because it was a silver car. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to pay for it. He just said the interior is the worst thing.
Sure.
She picked the car up and she was like so surprised that she could get this service done. She was like, "So I could call you every 6 months and have you just clean my car?" And I said, "Yeah."
Yes.
And she goes, "Well, what about every 3 months?" I was like, "You could do that too. We could just do an interior. We don't need to do anything on the outside. We could just wash it and do the interior for you."
Because let's stop and think, how much is a car payment for the average new car versus getting a detailed existing one?
It depends on the area, but it's basically.
I understand there are differences, but it's something you could validly think about if your car is just looking a little rough. I mean, mechanically,
you change the oil every 3 months sometimes.
But,
so there are people that do that. They change the oil every 3 months. They rotate the tires. vacuum the floor.
Basic stuff, guys.
You know, wash the dirt off of it once in a while.
Like, we don't need to we don't need to be preaching to you guys about the importance of a clean interior, but
you get
honestly,
it, but your customers might not.
Yeah, a clean interior. I mean, that. Gosh, I can never. I mean, like my little daily driver right now, my interior's thrashed inside there, and I'm hating it right now because I haven't had any time. I've been transporting puppies for like the past 2 weeks, and so. But I do know though that when you care about your car and you wipe down every panel and you vacuum and you clean your seats and you clean the steering wheel, anything that you're touching, that's my favorite part. All the areas that I'm touching, whether it's my shifter, like my shifter boot, my door seals, my steering wheel, cleaning those, the areas that really matter, just make the driving experience that much better and make me feel cleaner as a person, which is the weird part. Like I feel dirty getting into a dirty car, but if I'm dirty and I get into a clean car, I'm like, wow, like I feel good.
You feel a little guilty getting into it.
It could be a dirty exterior and a clean interior.
Yeah.
And the car will be fine.
This is just a question for all the guys and gals driving manuals out there. But like, what material is your shifter boot? Is it suede? Is it leather? Because I notice they sometimes pick up different stuff. Is it just plastic, or do you have a gated shifter because you're fancy AF?
Yeah.
But just something like that. It collects like those stains. Like mine's suede, so it collects.
It pulls oil and skin.
Yeah, it just gets everything.
Crumbs
collect there. Do you eat in your car?
Well, no. And I used to do a thing at my shop. We'd post on Facebook right after school started.
Yeah.
And it was get your cars cleaned get all the summer out, get the car ready for winter and school season, as well as cold and flu season. A lot of people don't seem to realize that, people sneeze on their steering wheels, they wipe their nose, they wipe their hands, they come in contact with their steering wheel. Not everybody wipes their steering wheel down.
The gauge cluster cover.
Yeah, and
just
kids,
that clear plastic.
Well, and you think about little kids. They get in, they touch stuff as they're climbing in. The back seat, they may have rotten apples back there or food
Somebody's
stuff.
elbow on the center console.
Right. It's just... It gets dirty if they're sneezing or coughing in the back of the thing. All that goes on the certain materials in your vehicle. So the best thing to do is clean and disinfect all that stuff and get your car clean and ready to go. And I would always do that to my wife's car as well, as I go through and just clean everything and get it as nice as I possibly can and clean the steering wheel. And that's what I do every Saturday. I try and if I don't do a full vacuum on the interior, I at least, give the steering wheel clean and all the touch points. So door panels, dash, grabs, all that stuff. I just give it a quick wipe down with O&R on a rag.
Because you can do a lot with O&R.
Yeah, just O&R and a microfiber towel, and I just wipe all the door panels down and get the steering wheel cleaned up and get the snot off the front steering wheel.
But being proactive like that makes such a difference in the grand scheme of things. If you can just do those little things, it's a small job that you do regularly versus this like monumental task where you're just going, oh God, why did I?
Well, and I've seen the extremes,
once
and I've seen extremes where we do repossessions, so we detail repossessions for the credit unions. Now there are some people who are just slobs, and then there are other people who actually maybe got kicked out of their apartment and they've had to live in their vehicle until it got repossessed. So I've seen slobs. And
a little tree freshener ain't gonna fix that.
They won't even pull the garbage out of the car. They just keep stacking it up.
Oh, it's
so we've had to clean that, or it's it's insane. It's insane to see the level of degradation some of these cars get. But as long as you're not getting it to that point and you're just keeping up on top of everything, you can keep it nice. And if you can explain that to your customers. Even if you can sell them on a maintenance wash package where maybe you can get them to come in, even to the point where I tell customers, some of them, if it's easier for them to just go through the car wash every month, I usually tell them find a full service wash, one that vacuums, because that makes a huge difference on their, I have a friend who can't wash his car to save his life. He doesn't know, he's all thumbs when it comes to, he doesn't know. That's not how his brain works.
Does he like going through car washes, or is he just doesn't wash it at all?
No, and his kids will go with him, but his wife wants her car clean. And I told him, I basically said, just go down to the car wash and spend $20 a month and have them vacuum it for you and give you an exterior wash. your wife will be 10 times happier driving her car every day. Even if it's just once a month. It's $20 a month.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. You can do it once. You don't have to go every week. You don't have to buy the pass that's unlimited washes. You can literally just go in once a month, put it on, first Saturday of the month, take all your kids, run it through. Now, I know it's a scratch and shine, and for those of us that absolutely hate car washes.
You're hearing this right now, and you're just, ooh.
You're like, oh, Levi, what are you doing?
But you know what?
I'm telling you, there
people
are customers that you are never going to be able to teach to be able to wash their own car. You can give them all the products.
Yeah.
He's just not. They're not going to do it. So all you can do is try and protect that vehicle a little bit more and give them the choices to make themselves happy in their life.
Because you can't trust them to walk out in their driveway with a hose and a bucket and make that happen. It's not. But if they have the convenience of being able to go do that,
and I would tell them, I would rather have you come to me every 6 months and let me detail your interior and just throw a coat of wax on your car, rather than have you go to the car wash once a month and have them vacuum it and clean it, than have you go a year of not doing any maintenance and then bringing it to me to detail.
But guys, if I don't take it through the tunnel wash and I just let the dust collect, the dust will protect the paint.
Yeah, but the cost is going to be, I'd rather have you spend $120 over the course of 6 months to keep it nice than come to me and have me charge you $300, $400 a year to clean this filthy interior. And you can, a lot of people don't seem to understand, you can spread it out over in smaller increments rather than one big lump sum. So
it's like budgeting. You just got to teach yourself to be responsible about it.
They've got little kids. Take the little kids. They love that stuff. They love watching it. One of the car washes near us has a foam gun that you can push and shoot the cars as it goes by. My kids love that stuff.
Don't use that brush, though. Don't use that brush.
But I'm not saying that, not the self-serves. I'm talking about the full-service washes.
Yeah.
But, find whatever works for you. The goal is to have a clean car. Mm-hmm. Now, we all can't afford to have show-quality, perfect cars. Not everybody's wired that way. We've got employees
Some
here.
of you are, and that's fine. But there are
we've
other
got
people
an employee
out there
here
too.
that is not going to ever wash his car.
His car's been featured in a number of our videos because it's such a great candidate.
Yeah, but he doesn't. That's not who he is. He doesn't. A car gets him to work and back, and that's all it is.
And he makes road trips in it, so it collects.
But he doesn't. But he doesn't see a dirty window. He doesn't see a dirty paint job because he doesn't care. That's not.
Well, with those windows, you can hardly see.
That's true too. You can't see anything anyway. It is pretty bad. Yeah. But I could go out there. The three of us could go out and wash it for him one day, and he'd be like, "Ah, cool, thanks." And then
if he noticed, I almost don't know if he would notice.
His response would be, good, cool. Huh.
Yeah.
And that's okay because not everybody is wired.
I could go like a detailer. I could be like, yo, hey, I'm gonna go wet sand on your car really quick. I'm gonna take some 800 to it, and then finish it off with 2,000, right? And most people would probably cringe at the thought of that.
Hold on a second.
And so, but I bet he'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Do whatever you got to do. Yeah. And I'd be like, what? I'm gonna go wet sand on your car for no reason at all whatsoever. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just gonna go grind two giant rocks on the beach.
And he's like, wait, is that gonna mean it's gonna be clean? Yeah, it'll be clean. Oh, all right, yeah, sounds good.
If not, it's no big deal.
Yeah,
he won't care one way or the other.
Oh yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna leave these sanding marks on here to see if if they break down anymore or anything like that over time.
Does it still drive? Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, but he's that guy that if you could get him to literally just take 45 minutes on a Saturday and go wash his car, which you and I both know he will never do.
Never. Ever, ever.
He won't even get to that point.
And that's, some people are wired that way.
But he's also that customer that would never come to me to get his car detailed.
Detailing wouldn't even cross his mind. No. And when his car is... Sorry, no offense to you, buddy.
When it's time to get a new car, he'll just go get a new car.
Yeah.
It's not, I better get it detailed so I can get more money out of it.
And some college kid will have a great cheap car they can pick up, and maybe somebody can salvage the paint down the line if they care enough.
Maybe, but again, that's just, you got to know your customers. So basically, I remind you, go back to, you got to know your clients, you got to know your customers, you got to know and educate them on their limits. Some customers, they only need a wax and a sealant. Other customers, love a coating. Then you got customers who just don't really care. They
don't
just
give
want
a
an
care.
interior. But there are interior coatings that will help prolong the life of the interior. And 90% of people, they're in their car all day long.
Yeah.
They don't look at the paint.
The interior,
So-
aspect of detailing is probably pretty underappreciated when you consider all the glamour that is paint correction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're running a shop, you're probably going to get a lot of people who just want their interior done. I mean, I get the paint thing because it's the first thing people see when they see your car. But if your car is a commuter, maybe you don't care as much about what they see on the outside, but you care about what you have to sit in every day on your commute to work.
Yeah.
And that's.
I mean, because
just being
how many
realistic.
times are you sitting in your car? I mean, you probably it's probably a subconscious thing, but I mean, you're sitting in your car and you're looking around your car, whether you think about it or not. If you're looking out your side windows, your rear view mirror, you're seeing other areas of your car. It's just you may overlook them to where being somebody that's a little bit more particular. I mean, when I'm looking around my car, I'm kind of looking at what should I clean or what's kind of bothering me right now, or I'm that guy if I roll my window down past like a small dust storm and I see the dust spinning, I'm like, oh my gosh, roll up my window before I drive through this.
Yeah.
And so clean interior makes a huge difference. And I mean, and if that's the least you can do, then have that be the least you can do, because paint can almost always be fixed. Whereas an interior, if you let it go bad enough, then you're replacing carpets, and then you're replacing things.
Some of those materials are just
some of those materials can't come back.
unsalvageable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understand paint. After a certain point, you run out of paint. That's true. But with the interior stuff, I mean, you could lose if you have a patch of carpet that is just so far gone, or something gets spilled on it that stinks to high heaven, and you can't do anything about it. You have to remove all of it. You can't just cut out a chunk of it and be like, yeah, that's good. Unless, I mean, you're the kind of person who doesn't care about having a hole in your floorboard in your car.
I mean,
But having people like the kind of people who have guests in their car, whether if you're a taxi driver, Uber, Lyft driver, or something like that, people are getting in your car a lot, right? They're riding in there. What do people notice? Not everybody notices a car that's incredibly clean inside, but people notice when a car is dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do the basic level of cleaning, and people will not notice. It's better to have them not notice than to have them notice how filthy things are.
For an example,
I'll make sure it smells good too.
Yeah.
And smell is probably the single most important aspect. You could have it look like, there's a little dust in here or whatever, you kind of dust up, whatever, but the smell is the first thing people notice, and it's a strong one. It's basically, on a par with eyesight in terms of senses.
For an example, like my little daily driver, my little beater Honda Civic I picked up, that thing the interior was just trash when I got it, and that's why I got it for so cheap. But the thing is that inside, I mean, I've cleaned it up. I did a full interior clean. It's dirty again right now, but the biggest thing that kills me inside there, going back to the whole, you can't really replace certain things without having to do the whole thing, is that I have cigarette burns in that car, right? From the previous owner or however it happened. So I have holes in my seats. In the fronts, every seat has a hole in it, at least multiple holes. My headliner has a couple holes in it, and that just kills me to see, because that, to me, makes that car instantly dirty. Even though I've cleaned it, it still feels dirty to me.
Because Anthony can't manage to buy just a cheap beater and let it be a cheap beater. He's got to look at it and go, I have to make this thing the nicest cheap beater that ever was.
Well, I mean, they're to a certain degree. I did quite a bit of work, but
it's a commuter though. I get it.
I did call it good at a certain point, but interior wise, I mean, certain things I'm like, that had a hole in it, that has a hole in it, that bothers me, and then smells, going back to smells are a big thing, because I mean, there was dogs that lived in that car for forever and ever and ever. And even though it's 10 times better than when I first got it, there still is the hint of dog smell, even after I've shampooed everything. I ripped out the entire interior, cleaned everything. There still is that slight smell.
We rode
dog.
Anthony's car down to the dock today to watch the eclipse and stuff, and my commentary from because we had a few people in the car, I just decided to ride in the back, and I got a whiff, and it was just like trying to figure out what it was, and I pinpointed at least what I thought was the smell, and it smelled like clean dog. You know, when you get a dog out of a dog parlor and they were just groomed and like they have that nice smell, but they still smell like a dog. It's just clean dog.
Just a clean and wet dog.
So yeah,
wet dog.
That's what it was. And he just pulls up like this tree freshener, and I take a sniff of that, and I think, okay, so that plus the dog smell that used to be in this car equals clean dog smell. It's still a dog smell though.
Yeah.
So it's the things that you let go too far, and then you try and walk them back. You can only walk them back so far. Now, granted, that's better than just letting it be and letting it be horrible because, hey, you got to sit in that thing every day you're commuting. So, on a motorcycle, you don't have that so much, but in that car, you do.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, anything else you guys want to touch up on? I thought we hit a lot of good points, and
I think we're kind of all over the place, and we apologize if you guys are looking maybe for a little more direction. I'm a little out of it.
Yeah, but we also want to have this as just like a hangout, like you're just kind of hanging out.
This is a
with
loose
us. That's
format show, so we have other ones that are more specific. But
and hopefully you guys are enjoying it. And
please leave a review, subscribe,
please
and give us some stars. We love stars.
Yeah, and make sure you go on the site and buy products. We've got T-shirts, hats for sale on the Rag Company. Detailer helper belts.
Yep.
Brushes.
They look cool too. They're not just like
products.
lame,
Yeah, as well as all of our favorite towels and microfiber that you could want. And
if you don't do any of that stuff, the least you could do is tell a friend about us, about the podcast, about whatever, our YouTube channel, any of that stuff. Just let people know, because you don't know if you don't ask.
Yeah, and check out the YouTube channel. We are going to be trying to push more. We're going to be doing more shows, more episodes.
More live videos.
And we are planning on trying to increase our subscribers with some surprises. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you let everybody know. Go on our YouTube channel and subscribe. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. That would be great. We would love you forever.
Yep. Nope, those numbers go up. It's to your benefit just as much as it is ours.
Exactly.
So,
Cool.
Anyway, thanks guys for hanging out, talking for a bit, and we will see you next Tuesday. So have a good one, and we'll talk next time.
See you later.